What's up, Mux fans? This is Scorp1701, and welcome to Day 3 of the Bodacious Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 40th Anniversary Week-Long Review Spectacular! Yes, this entire week we are going to be reviewing some awesome Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys that are coming out, some to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the Ninja Turtles, and some not so much. But today, we are going to be taking a look at all 4 of the brand new Playmates 1988 Remastered Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So what we have here is a play from the Mattel playbook, I think. Playmates looked at the Masters of the Universe Origins figure and say, hey, those are selling like hotcakes. Maybe we could do that with our Ninja Turtles and make tons of money. So they took the original Ninja Turtles back to the drawing board and remastered them, giving them better articulation, some new weapons, and some other cool surprises that we'll take a look at tonight. And I can't wait to jump into all of these. But before we can get to the figures, we have to take a look at this awesome 40th anniversary packaging. And since these boxes are all pretty much the same, we'll just do one and done, and I'll point out the differences as we go. So, taking a look at the front of the box, you have Nickelodeon up here, you have the 40th anniversary logo there. Over here, you have some old-timey looking Ninja Turtle drawings like you had on the original packaging. You have Michelangelo and Raphael. You can see Leonardo in the box with all of his accessories. You have some all-new articulation and deco written there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo there. The 1988 remastered Leonardo, and obviously that will change depending on who's in the box. On the bottom left, you have the other 2 turtles that we used to see on the old original packaging, Donatello and Leonardo. You have Age 4+, Playmates, and warning choking hazards. On the top of the box, you have Nickelodeon, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1988 Remastered. You have old-timey Michelangelo and old-timey Leonardo. That is really cool. On the right side of the box, you have Nickelodeon, Leonardo, Donatello. Collect all 4 to create a custom scene, and there they are, all cool and ready to fight. You have each sold separately. On the bottom of the box, you just have some credits for the box and a barcode, and the barcode will be different depending on which turtle you get to. Coming to the side of the box, now this is an interesting side. You got Nickelodeon, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and down here you will have a picture of whichever turtle you're buying. Alright. And coming finally to the back of the box, you have Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you have a cool little read-up, so I will scroll in, and you could pause the video, read that to your heart's content, but we must be moving on. Over to the right, it says collect all 4 remastered turtles, and then you have all 4 of them there, and that is really cool with some more details about the figures and some more of those cool drawings from yesterday. There's Leonardo at the top, so you didn't miss him. Alright, and that is going to be the packaging for the remastered Ninja Turtles, and I don't want to see these guys in the box. I know you don't, so let's get them out and have a radical old time. And here we have the remastered turtles out of their packaging, and they stand at approximately 4.5 inches, as opposed to the original Ninja Turtles, which stood approximately 4 inches tall. And the remastered turtles are surrounded by their awesome accessories. Some we've seen before, some are brand new, and I can't wait to take a look at those. But first off, I want to take a look at each of these gnarly cool dudes themselves, and obviously we have to start with Leonardo. And coming in real close on the Leonardo head sculpt, this is a very nice Leonardo head sculpt. Now, back in the day, in addition to the headbands and the armbands and the knee pads being different colors, each turtle had a different shade of green, and this green does approximate the color that Leonardo was when he first came out, so I like that. The blue is very nice for the headband. Now the eyes are okay. I think this eye on the right is missing some paint, because if you look over here to the left, this eye is fully painted, and this one I think is just triangular, and there's a little bit of space in there that you can paint to complete the eye, and I think I might do that with my painter. Coming down, you do have 2 open mouth sections on Leonardo, and purists will have an issue with that because Leonardo did not have two open mouthpieces. He only had open mouth on this side. Donatello had two open mouth sections. So that is going to bother a few people, I suppose. And coming around to the back of the head sculpt, you can see the bandana comes and ties up right here. That's really nice. The skin texture is also going to bother a lot of people. I'm having a little bit of trouble actually getting used to it because it does kind of throw me off a little bit because it just looks really strange to me. But that's what they went with, and I guess we'll have to live with it. So coming down to the body itself, it is very nicely done. You do have the same green going around the sides of the middle of the shell. The middle of the shell is a nice orangish yellow. You do have his double strapped belt, which is standard for the original Leonardo toy. Nice yellow L on his belt. Now, I don't think this belt comes off. I've lifted up the middle section here, and it seems like it tabs into the body, but there's really no way of getting the belt off unless you maybe cut it. Now, the straps are attached here, so you can kind of pull those off if you're so inclined, but I wouldn't do it. And then you have your double sheath holders for the swords. The back of the shell is done really nicely, a darker green, and unlike the original shell, you do have some details in each of the shell section, and that is cool. Coming back to the front of the body and the arms, you do have the elbow pads and the wristbands, nice and blue. Coming down to the legs, got the nice knee pads, and they're really big and bulky. And then that will bring you down to his two-toed feet, and the feet are nicely molded and very large to give you a good platform to stand on. Bottom of the feet, you do get some peg holes there, so that is really nice. There are also some copyright details on the bottom of the foot. Coming around to the back fully, there isn't anything that you wouldn't expect, and yeah, so that is what your Leonardo is going to look like. So what we'll do now is we'll put him there, and we will bring out the original Leonardo. And the original Leonardo isn't going to be as tall, so we're going to put him here. Always have to bend him. Maybe if he didn't have to bend his legs, he would be about the same height as the remastered one here. But anyway, taking a look at the major differences, you can see the head is a lot different. You got a bigger nose here, and the headband is a little slimmer than it is here. And here you can see, again, where Leonardo's mouth is only open on this side as opposed to both sides. Got your double belt, that's the same, and pretty much gonna be all the same, just the mold and the sculpt is gonna be more slender here and more thicker at your base points, so you could actually get him to stand a little better. And then coming around to the backs, you can see the difference in the shells. Again, the more detailed shell over here on the remastered as opposed to just the little cuts in the original shell. So that is pretty neat. And that is going to be what your remastered Leonardo looks like. And with the mold and sculpt being the same on all the turtles, there's no real reason to look at each one individually since we already took a look at Leonardo. But we can compare them with their original counterparts. And you can see here the mouth on the remastered Donatello is now open on this side, which should be Leonardo's. And as you can see here, the Donatello, the original, has his mouth open on both. So what they've done is they've switched the Leonardo and Donatello heads. Again, it doesn't bother me because I didn't really pay that much attention to the heads of which mouth was open on which side, but I did know Raphael's mouth went all the way across. So that's about the only one. Anyway, purists, again, aren't going to like that, but it's, again, what we have. And taking a look at the differences here, both of these figures have the double strap belt like Leonardo's did, and that is really cool. So coming around to the back of the shells, my old Donatello lost his bow holder a long time ago, but the remastered one still has his, and that's really nice, and you still got the cool detail on the shell there, and that is cool. All right, now the coloring here isn't as similar because the remastered Donatello is a lot darker than the original one there, but it's kind of close. And here we have the remastered Michelangelo with the original Michelangelo. And this is an original Michelangelo because this Michelangelo has the soft head that's all squishy. They got rid of that feature after the first run, I think. And you can see this also the first turtle that has a standard belt with no straps going across the chest. So you can see the shell a little bit better with these two. And it's pretty cool. Coming around to the back, you can see the belts are the same with the nunchuck holders. That is cool. And that's pretty much going to be what your Michelangelos look like. So that is neat. All right. And finally, we have the lightest green turtle with the remastered Raphael and the original Raphael. And these are pretty cool. And this is where we have the weapon holder belt on the front. Coming around to the back of this one, you do have the dagger holder in the back on both. So we'll get to that in just a moment. And that's going to be your comparisons with your Raphaels. Pretty cool. And in case you were wondering what they all look like together, here they are, the originals with the remastered counterparts. And I think that looks really neat. Now, when it comes to their color, it could be argued that the reissued Ninja Turtles from a few years ago are a closer match for the remastered Turtles. So what I mean by that, and what I will show, is if we take Raphael here, and we'll make him front and center, and then we bring out the original Raphael and we put them right here. But if we bring the newly reissued Raphael out that came out at GameStop and Walmart's a few years ago, you can see the colors on the remastered are very compatible with the reissued than the original. So if you have the more modern turtles that you got in reissued, they're going to match up a lot better. And I think that's something neat to take note of. All right, and that's what your remastered turtles are going to look like. Moving on. And for articulation, which is the best thing about these masterpiece, remastered turtles, there's going to be a slew of articulation. But to understand that, we have to go back to see what the original turtle was. So taking a look at Michelangelo here, when we got these back in the 80s, he had 7 points of articulation. The head would move around 360 degrees. The arm would go around 360 degrees. You did have a forearm rotation, 360 degrees there. And then you had your leg articulation, which can go around 360 degrees, but there was no knee bend and there was no foot tilt or anything like that. So, you know, that wasn't a lot of articulation, but for the most part, you could get him how you wanted him. But that is no longer the case as we look at this brand new remastered Michelangelo. We will zoom in a little bit so we can take a closer look at this articulation. Starting at the head can still go around 360 degrees. You do get a little wiggly waggly in there left and right. It can look down a little bit. It can look up a little bit. So that is cool. Coming to the shoulders can go around 360 degrees. They can come up from the body. They can go back down from the body. There is no bicep rotation. You do, however, have an elbow bend now, which I'll give it about 90 degrees there. And then it can go back down, and it is built into a forearm rotation, 360 degrees there. And that is built into your hand rotation, which is 360 degrees. And that is really cool. Coming down to the center of the body, still nothing on the center of the body because it is still a standard shell. But when you get to the legs, you do have a hinge right here on the front of the leg, and that will bring that leg up a little bit and then back down a little bit. It is built into a 360 degree leg or thigh rotation, so that is cool. That will bring you down to your knee, and your knee will go back, which is built under this knee pad. That's cool. So you got about 90 degrees there, and it will go forward. That entire lower foot or leg section is 360 degree rotation there, so it kind of gives you a boot cut, as it were. And that will bring you down to your foot, which is articulated, and will go 360 degrees on itself, on its own. So that is really cool. Now, they did miss an opportunity, I think, to put a hinge in here, but for the most part, they gave us a lot more than what we normally had with the originals. So that is a lot of very cool articulation for your newly remastered Ninja Turtles. All right, moving on. And for weapon accessories, each Ninja Turtle comes with 2 of these throwing stars, and they're okay. They're done in gray plastic. There is a little hole in the middle, but there's really nowhere I've found that you could post these. The original weapons tree had little pegs on them, and you should be able to peg them onto the turtles' belts, but none of the turtles' belts can accommodate such a thing. They also come with this small fist dagger. It's really nice. You got 3 little blades there. It's done in gray plastic, and the handle is done in a nice black paint. So that is really neat. And you also have each of the turtles coming with this larger fist daggers. Now, I don't officially know if they're both fist daggers. I looked it up online, and they are both considered fist daggers, I think. But I've always considered this a pizza dagger because it kind of looks like a piece of pizza. But anyway, it's nicely done as well. You got some black for this handle, and this is the one weapon that Raphael can store into that little holster on the back of his belt, and he's always been the only one that can hold one of these. And they look good holding these various weapons in different ways. And what's interesting to note is most of these weapons came with the original Ninja Turtles, but they didn't give them the Kama hook weapon, but they decided to do something unique with the Kama weapon, and we'll see that a little bit later. And of course, the Turtles come with their classic weapons. Leonardo comes with 2 awesome katana blades. The bottoms are painted blue. Donatello has a very stout bow with purple wrapping in the middle. Michelangelo comes with 2 sets of nunchucks that are real chained, and he has some orange for the handles. And Raphael comes with 2 sais with red handles. And I think these are really nice weapons, and if they look familiar to you, I think what Playmates has done is they took the weapons of the classic line, you know, these monstrosities, and shrunk them down to make these turtles weapons. And unfortunately, I think in the long run, these weapons, whereas they're good and they're cool and they're really nice looking, I think over time the paint is going to wear off of the handles and you're just going to have little flakes. So that's not really great, but for the most part, the weapons look pretty good. And if you want to see weapon storage, here they are with their weapons put up. Now, technically, you can't see anybody's weapons here except for Raphael's, and that's okay. But you can see Donatello's bow sticking out and a little bit of Leonardo's swords. But when we turn them around, you got a lot more detail on how the weapons look stored, and that is pretty neat. And when it comes to Michelangelo, you can store his nunchucks with the chain going up or the chain down. It really depends on how you like the style, but regardless of how you store them, they are a bugger to get into those little loops. So be very careful when you're putting them in. Be very careful when you're taking them out because you don't want to break your loop. And those are going to be your classic weapons. And if anybody was interested here, the remastered turtles are holding the original classic weapons. And they look really good. They can hold them really well. And I think it's actually a better choice for them in some regards. Alright. And finally, as part of the remastered line, each turtle gets a brand new, unique weapon, and they are very vicious. Starting off with Leonardo's brand new weapon. It's nicely done. It's in a gray plastic. You do a lot of cool detail in here. Got some scratch marks for battle damage. You got two handles here that he can hold, dual weaving, and basically, all I could say about this weapon is I think it's a Ninja Turtle batlet. You know, the batlet from the Klingons, they have that big thing. And yeah, it's cool, and he can hold this and attack with this if he was so inclined. And being able to hold it with two hands, you know, you can get some force into that thing, and it seems like it would be very, very deadly. And next up, Raphael gets this double-headed hammer thing, and it's really nicely done. You got some red in the middle for the handle, and each side has a hammer head and a spike, so he could hammer and stab simultaneously. So yeah, again, another huge two-handed weapon, which could do some damage. And next up, coming to Donatello's new weapon, what could be more dangerous than his already lethal bow staff? Well, take the bow staff and attach a flail to each side. So yeah, that's what you got here. It's really nicely done. You got your little flail sections right here on each side, so you can hold this with both hands. And I'd imagine using this weapon would take some skill, because if you're not careful, you're going to be hitting yourself in the head with those flails, and that would not feel too good. And the final new weapon we take a look at belongs to Michelangelo. And remember when I said we'd see the Kama? Here is the Kama. Michelangelo's nunchucks have been replaced by two Kama blades, in which he could hold in each hand, and this is a deadly, deadly combination. He could attack forward and backward, up in the air, swing it around. This could do a lot of damage to the Foot Clan. And I am so glad they found a way to give us the Kama hook. Even though each turtle doesn't get one now, I think they made up for it by giving Michelangelo two on a string, as it were. And these new weapons are just so cool and very deadly looking. You get two-handed weapons, and everybody knows if you have a two-handed weapon, they're always going to be more powerful than your regular one-handed weapon. So the remastered turtles do mean business. Alright, and that is going to be your weapons for the remastered turtle line. Moving on. And the last thing that comes with your remastered turtle is a rooftop diorama piece, and these are really cool. They are all sculpted and molded the same way, which means you're going to get this nice brick wall section, you're going to get this little silver section into this blue line, you're going to get a piece of pizza here, and you're going to get this square, and then you're going to get this little rose up section here. The only thing that's going to be different with these rooftop diorama pieces is the ooze pattern here. Each of the ooze patterns is going to be in a different design, and that is really cool. Each of the roof dioramas have these little tabs and port sections where they can connect to each other, so your roof can go straight across, or you can connect the four pieces together, or you could kind of mix and match to have some going straight and some going down. So that is really neat. But if you are curious to which rooftop piece you have, if you flip it over to the bottom, there is a little hole down here to the left, and there is a number in that hole, and this is number 1. So this was going to be Leonardo's rooftop. Number 2 will be Donatello's. Number 3 will be Michelangelo, and number 4 will be Raphael. With the rooftop diorama piece, you also get some decorations for the roof. Now, each turtle comes with 2 decorations for the roof. Now, depending on what the decoration is, you can either port them onto the top of the wall here, or this little tab at the bottom right of the diorama pieces, or they could just sit around on the rooftop being stationary pieces, which is really cool. So you can decorate your roof diorama any way you want, and once you add the action figures, it just looks that much better. So this was a really cool idea. I don't know if I have enough room to display the turtles with it, but you may not have the same problem. And that is going to be your rooftop diorama. Moving on. And for comparison, using Donatello as our representative of the remastered Ninja Turtles, here he is in a line of Donatellos, starting with the original Donatello, the Mutant Mayhem Donatello, the NECA Toon Donatello, the Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Donatello, the Super 7 Donatello, and finally the NECA Movie Donatello. So he comes in at number 3 in the ascending height order, and that's not too shabby. And that's going to be your comparison with other Ninja Turtles. Moving on. And this has been the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1988 Remastered series. And like the original sketch turtles were exclusive to Target, I believe these are going to be exclusive to Walmart. And if you are looking for these turtles, you better get out to your Walmart and pick these up, because I think they are going to fly off the shelves, because this is a great set of remastered action figures, and I love these guys. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I think Playmates took that page out of Mattel's playbook to create these, like the Mattel did the Masters of the Universe Origins line, and I think they got a hit on their hands. The sculpt and the mold of these turtles are very nostalgic. The paint is almost exactly like it was in the original 88 Turtles, but as we saw earlier, it is more akin to the reissued Turtles that we got a couple years ago, but that's okay. It's close enough, and I think these colors are great, and that's going to lead me to articulation, which was what made these Ninja Turtles Remastered. The new articulation is outstanding. You can get these turtles to move and twist in ways the originals could not even think about doing, because there wasn't any joints. And these have joints, and they have hinges, and it's really good being able to move around like you wanted them to when you were like 8 or 9. When it comes to their accessories, they have their mini weapons, the throwing stars and the fist daggers. Those were okay. Kind of a callback to the original Ninja Turtles, and I'm okay with that. The classic weapons, I think, is where we're going to have a problem. The handles are too thick when it comes to the size, the katanas, and the nunchucks. I think Donatello's bow is okay. You're going to have to really force it into the hands of the turtles, and when you do that, the paint is just going to start flaking off and transfer to the turtles. That's what happened with the classic versions, and unfortunately I know it's going to happen with these turtles, and that's kind of a bummer, especially when you want to have the classic weapons in their hands all the time. The thick nunchucks are also going to be a problem getting them into the holder on the back of Michelangelo's belt. Now the new weapons, they're very cool, they're very massive, and they look very powerful. So I like the new weapons, but they weren't really necessary. But you know, if they want to throw in extra stuff in this box, I don't have a problem with it. I'll use it somewhere, I'll just throw it in a bag. The diorama set I think was good and okay. I like the different pieces you can put on there and how you can arrange the pieces any way you want. Problem is, I think, you know, it's big and each of them came with this piece, and it's kind of takes up a lot of room. I'm not going to be able to use it personally, but other people may like to set up their displays. Maybe one turtle here, one turtle there, or put them all together. So there's a lot of cool ideas and playability you have with this. Yeah, it's fun, and again, options are great. And that's pretty much all I have to say about these guys. I think this has the potential to be a great line, and I think a lot of people want to see more of their favorite turtle characters remastered like this. I think there will also be a call for the Turtles to be redone. A lot of people are going to have issue with that texture and will want them to be more smooth. A lot of people are going to have issue with Leonardo and Donatello's heads being swapped. Again, I don't really mind it, doesn't bother me, but the purists will make their feelings clear. And I can see Playmates redoing them, giving them a smoother skin and changing out the heads, just like the original Turtles had the soft heads and they redid all of those. So who knows, this might be the collector's items and go for hundreds of dollars in a few years once they put out newly molded ones. But anyway, that's all I have to say about these awesome remastered Turtles. And if you are looking for them, like I said, they are Walmart exclusives. They go for about $13 a piece. So if you're looking for them, happy hunting. And this will wrap up day 3 of the Bodacious Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 40th Anniversary Week-Long Review Spectacular. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. This was a really fun review for me to do. Tune in tomorrow where we'll take a look at some more brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys. And until then, guys, have a great night and keep playing.
Ninja Turtles, heroes in a half shell, turtle power.
Alright, for those of you who are wondering why I call the classic lines monstrosity, let's go back to that for just a minute. Here they are. They're huge. They're way too big for anything that was going on in the line at the time. And their eyes are all like small. You get a little pupil in there. They look like they're zombies. I just thought they were monsters and they're just going around, "Rawr, kill us turtles, blah." Just think of it as like somebody shot the turtles with some sort of ray gun and it transformed them into the mindless brutes that these things are. But anyway, that's the story of why I call the classic lines monstrosities.